And we'll start on your mat, laying down on your back. And for the moment, you can be any way that you're comfortable. So maybe the legs are spread long, maybe the knees are bent, same thing with the arms. And for me, I always find it just a little nicer to wiggle a bit first, take a little movement before becoming still. So do whatever you need to do to adjust and arrive. And then when you do feel somewhat settled here, if it feels okay to close your eyes, let that happen. And if not, just keep your vision kind of fuzzy, unfocused. See if you can relax all the muscles around the eyes and let go of any tension in the face. Start to notice your breath, how your body moves when you breathe. And we'll just start with a little bit of a head turn. So like you're saying no, just a little side to side. And then let's let the head relax, just find center. If the legs are outstretched long, bend at the knees like I have here, the knees bent, feet on the floor. And then let's take your pelvis, do a little kind of a cat-cow, tuck and tilt back and forth. And I'll advise here, don't go too extreme in either position, just go a little bit both directions. And see if you can feel the midpoint when you're not all the way down, not all the way up. And try to hold that position so there's a small little pocket behind your low back. And then let's keep that and maintain the stability in the pelvis and the lower back. And one leg just lifts up and down, and other leg up and down. So you're marching in place. And imagine that every time you lift the leg, it could happen from the low belly. And every time you lift a leg, try not to rock or shift your pelvis from side to side or forward and back. Keep it absolutely still. Then we're going to change your movement a little bit. Next time one leg comes up, bring the other leg up too. So up, up. And then the first leg down, second leg down. And that's the new pattern. So up, up, down, down. Pretty simple. If you want a little more challenge for the body, let the arms either hover a bit off the floor or bring the arms right in front of your chest, or maybe even a little bit back so that the arms are not contributing to the stability. Yeah. Now, whatever leg is the lead leg, whatever one's going up first, let's switch. So it's up, up, down, down with the other leg. If you get bored, you can try different arm positions. All right, friends. Now let's pause with both legs up, arms any way you like them. Keeping the knees bent, let one leg come a little bit forward and the toes can tap on the floor, and then back up we come and switch to the second side. Just take that one back and forth. Still maintaining the small lumbar curves. We're not trying to flatten the back for these. Now, if this is going well and you want still a little more challenge, the knee, keep it still bent, but let the leg go a little further out. And maybe instead of toes tapping the floor, it's the heel, just depending on how far out you go. I'll just do a few more of these. And then let's take a little bit of a break. Bring the knees in, just take a second, little movement if that feels good. And then we'll change our pattern again. So let's bring the legs up into that tabletop starting position. Arms right in front of your chest. Without twisting or tilting the pelvis, let the right knee go to the right. The whole leg, but the knee will stay bent. Yeah. And then come back up to the center and the left side. And I'm always amazed when I do this. The left one for me goes almost twice as far as the right one. So you might find a discrepancy here. And then let's go to the right side again. And up, and the left side again. And up. Now from here, take your right hand and hold the head. You could either rest the head in the hand or you could hold it up a little bit, your choice. Then we'll take the left hand to the inside of the right knee. Stretch the left leg long on the floor. Breathe in. On the exhale, press the leg and the hand into each other. And on the inhale, just back off a little bit from that. Let's do 2 more times on the exhale. If it's bothersome on the neck to keep the head elevated, just put the head back down. Great. And then either take a break or go straight into side 2. And we'll find that pressure. Leg and hand find each other. And relax. 2 more of those. Yes, yogis, last one. And then take another little break, come on down, take any kind of movement again, whatever feels good to you here. Great. Let's start with just the figure 4 position for our hip opener. So you'll cross the right ankle over the left thigh, and then you can either keep left foot on the floor, or you can hold behind the thigh, in front of the shin, in front of the knee. Any hold you like is fine. And then for this first one, just go easy. If it feels good to rock a little bit from side to side, you can try that. And we'll do more of these later, just getting us a bit warmed up. Let's undo and redo. Side 2, left one crosses over. Any hand hold you like is fine. Let's keep the left foot active. Pretend you're standing on the foot. And any additional movements you want to bring in are great. All right, yogis. When you're ready to get out of this one, let's undo. And put the feet on the floor. Take the hands to the tops of the thighs at the hip crease. And just press straight ahead. Hands into the legs. We'll back off of that. Turn over, coming to all fours position. And we'll be on the knees, not so much right now, but later a little bit more. So do feel free if you need extra padding to set that up for yourself. So for the moment, let's just move through our cat-cows. Just take this the way you ordinarily would, and then you're gonna add in some stuff. Now see if you can slow down the exhales. And as the exhales happen, let the low belly draw in and up. And on the inhales, let the belly relax. And as you're going along, you might find just a natural little pause at the end of the exhale. Don't hold the breath, but if it's just natural to do that, let it happen. And then we'll take a little break here. Go back to child's pose. Stay in the child's pose. Go up onto your fingertips for a second, spider fingers. And without moving your hands, try to scrunch the mat up so the wrists lift and the palms of the hands lift. If you're able to maintain the spider fingers hand position and come to all fours, do that. If that feels really crummy on your hands or your fingers, just go flat-handed again. Yeah, so we're going to take our cat-cow, possibly with this new finger position. And if you've got it, you might find that there's a little more room for the spine to move now that the hands are slightly elevated. Now, same thing with the belly. Can you find that hollow belly? The belly draws in and up as the back rounds. And then just let it relax. Yes, we're gonna pause next time you're in the rounded state. Start, see if you can walk the hands back towards the knees without shifting the pelvis back. Yeah, you go to the tippy tips of the fingers and then press down into the shins, just come up to rise onto the shins. Yeah, you can give the hands a little movement in and out with the fingers. Now from here, let's bring the hands to the hips. Shift your weight over to the left and try to step the right leg forward without any drama. Yeah, just get there. And then from this position, press the back shin down. You could have the toes tucked under if you want. And the shin, for most of us, it won't touch the floor, but press it downward. Lift the low belly upward and let's send the arms up overhead. You're nice and tall, nice and long through the body. Then we're just going to reverse the order that we came in. So let's bring the arms down, shift a little bit left, slide the right knee back, and then down come the hands. And let's go back to child's pose. We'll take a little something before the other side. Yeah. From your child's pose, walk the arms out a little forward. Press into the floor. We'll round the back first, coming through cat pose. Continue forward, unravel the spine. Elbows will bend and we'll come down to the belly. Take your legs back and down just to create a little space there, and your hands will stay right by the lower front ribs. Lift the shoulders away from the floor. Try to pull the hands back towards the feet as the chest draws forward. You can either stay just like this or let the legs hover a little bit. We don't want any sort of pinching in the lower back. If that's happening for you, go closer to the floor. If you've come all the way up, continue this little pull action of the hands pulling towards the feet. Great, and then let's go back to child's pose. Put the legs down, shift yourself back. And then from here, return to your all fours. Let's stretch the right leg back, toes tuck under, give yourself a little back and forth, just to stretch the back of the leg, back of the knee. And then we'll switch to side two. Great, reset yourself. If you can go on spider fingers here, do. If that's a no-go, keep the hands down. And then back and forth we go for our cat-cow, possibly with a little extra range of motion. Next time you round the back, stay like that. Keep the belly very lifted. Walk the hands back. Try not to shift the pelvis back. Now that's where it gets challenging. And then you'll press onto the shins, come up, hands to the hips. Shift a little bit right so the left leg can step forward. A little bit of a balancing act. You can do whatever you want with the back foot, but let's press the back shin down and lift the low belly up. Keep that up and down happening. Send the arms up overhead. Lengthen so the rib cage lifts off the pelvis, especially the side ribs and the back ribs. So it's not just the front ribs. Yeah, it's not a back bend here. All right. And then going in reverse order, hands come back to the hips, shift a little right, left knee comes back. And this time when we come down, let's head into down dog. So you can tuck the toes under, lift the knees, send your hips back and up, and take whatever you want movement-wise. It might feel nice to shift or pedal or lift a leg. Those of you who have a blanket down, go ahead and keep it there. Let's separate your feet wide. Bend the knees, walk your hands back towards your feet, and prop up so the forearms are on the thighs. Move the pelvis back, move the chest forward, create a little bit of length. And on the way up, press the thighs a little wider. Come up on an inhale. Great, and then release the arms down. Stay at the back of the mat, stay kind of wide in your stance, bend the knees and just be a little loose and jiggly. You can move any which way, any way that feels good. Yes, yogis. And then we'll let the movement settle, staying at the back of the mat. Let's reset so the feet are right underneath you. Inhale the arms up over your head. Exhale, down we go, forward fold. Come up halfway, lengthen. And then on the way down, walk the hands forward until you get to plank and we'll hold the position. If you need to do something else, you could take all fours or plank on the knees. For everybody, can you broaden the collarbones and lift a little bit through the lowest part of the belly? We'll just stay for a little bit here. Those of you with straight legs, bend the knees just a little bit. And imagine here the hamstrings, the backs of the thighs getting wider across. And then keep that idea of width as the legs re-lengthen without letting the low belly droop down towards the floor. Go ahead, let's put the knees down. Take a brief child's pose. If you need to move the hands around for a second, take that. Yeah. And then from the all fours, we'll come back to all fours. Take the right leg back and just hold the leg there. Clear the shoulders, lift up through the low belly. And then on the right leg, you might, it's very subtle, but the right half of the pelvis has a tendency to pull back. Can you pull the right half of the pelvis forward a little bit, just so that it feels level with the left side? Keep that as the leg starts to lift up. Now here too, the back will want to arch. Can you keep the low belly lifted so the spine stays neutral? You can stay with the right leg back as is, or you can add on by lifting the left arm straight ahead. Inhale, we're here. On the exhale, let's round. Bend the knee, bend the elbow if the arm is up, pull them in. And on the inhale, re-lengthen, but try not to arch in the back. Take that a couple more times. So when we come in, the spine will round. And then we reach out, it just goes back to neutral. Great. Let's pause with the limbs long. And then either just the leg or arm and leg together, bend, knee and elbow. Take the knee to the right, the elbow to the left. Whatever's still on the floor, press it down. Back. And then release the hand, release the knee. Back to child's pose we go. Let's take spider fingers just for a second, just for a little wrist relief. And then we'll reset. Coming back to the all fours. Left leg reaches back. From here, can you broaden the collarbones? Can you lift a little bit through the belly? Pull the left half of the pelvis a teensy bit forward and try to keep that as the leg hovers up without letting the back or the belly droop. Right hand could stay down or you could lift it. If it's lifted, turn the thumb up. Inhale, we're here. Exhale, we curl it in. Inhale to re-lengthen without drooping or arching in the low back. Yeah, just neutral spine. As yogi. So the next time the limbs go long, let's pause. Bend the knee, bend the elbow if the arm is up, and take elbow to the right, knee to the left. Whatever's still on the floor, press it down. This one's funny, it doesn't look like much, but it's a lot. And then let's release the arm, release the knee. Again, child's pose, if you want to do this one with the toes tucked under, you can join me there. And then again, if you want to take the spider fingers, you can. We'll do one more from the all fours starting position, one more on each side. So come back to your all fours. Take the right leg back again like we just did. Bring the left knee a little bit forward of where it is. Now for this one, the right leg stays put and it's the left knee that lifts, yeah? So let's do this all together. Press the top of the left foot downward, inhale. On the exhale, hover the left knee. Try not to round the back like cat pose. Keep the spine in neutral, which will target a little more into the lowest part of the belly. And then let's come down, just the one on each side, switcheroo. Left leg comes back, right foot, the top of the foot stays down. Inhale. On the exhale, press into the top of the foot, hover the knee, keep the spine in neutral. Yeah. And then down comes the knee. One more time, child's pose, any way you like it. We'll be done with those for now. Yeah, yogis. All right, let's head back to downward facing dog just as a transition. And this time come to the front of the mat, bring your feet to the hands. Root down through the legs, inhale all the way up and come, lifting the arms. Exhale, release the arms. Yeah. So the next little sequence here, we'll be working with the hips and the hamstrings. If you have blocks, you might want them. So just set them up so they're accessible at the front. And then let's work the legs a little bit before the stretch. So coming into standing position with the feet a little bit apart, just about hips width distance is good. Hands to the hips, bend your knees, bring the hips back, but not terribly low. So coming into a Utkatasana variation, and then shift your weight a little bit to the right, and feel how the back of the right leg turns up. And then shift a little bit to the left, same thing. We're going back to the right, stay there, and then either, just to move that, you can be on the tippy toes of the left foot, or for a little more challenge, take the leg straight out and have the toes just barely touching the floor, no weight on the foot at all. If this is too much for you, pull the foot in a little bit and put a little weight on it. But most of the effort here is in the right leg. Now, choices with the arms. You could take arms straight ahead. You could do that and plug the shoulders back. You could take the arms up kind of on the diagonal. Yeah. Now, yes, indeed, the weight is on the right side, but we don't want to let the outer hip kind of sag to the side. Can you hug the outer right hip in towards the midline? Yes, and then we step 2 feet together, normal chair. It's almost like Shavasana at this point. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Take a little break. Yeah. We come up halfway, lengthen. And then let's step the left leg back and bring the knee down to the floor. For this version here, walk the right foot a little wider and bring the arms to the inside. You could be on a block or not. And then let's pretend there's a crayon inside your navel. We're going to draw a circle on the mat. So just take your circle around a couple of times. Yes, the yogis go the other direction. Great. And then let's pause here right in the middle. Breathe in. On the exhale, bring the hips back and go straighter in the front leg and possibly walk the arms back if you need that for space. Inhale, we'll rebend and shift forward. So take this a few times just on your own. Now notice, for many of us when we shift back, the whole pelvis will want to drift left. Notice if that's true for you. And then when we shift back, let's stay. Now can you draw the whole pelvis a little bit to the right? And when we do that, the right hip will want to creep up. Can you drop the right sitting bone down towards the floor without the pelvis swinging left? Yeah, try it and see. And try to keep the pelvis in this position as that you set and move the ankle so the toes point towards the floor and the toes pull up. So point and flex, do that a few times. Now let's pause with the foot down, rebend the front knee, and then take the right hand to the right thigh with the fingers facing in. Press down the hand, lift the chest, and turn open towards the right. But see if you can keep some space here in the front of the right hip and the belly. So a little space here. Good. And then we'll undo. Let's tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. And to get out of this, if you are on blocks, move them out. And then we'll step back to plank pose. The right leg can just swing around to the side and back. All right, friends. From your plank pose choices, you could hold. You could go back to down dog and hold. If you can't decide, you can do a few back and forth. If you're familiar with the full vinyasa sequence, I want to take that. Great. And then whatever you're doing, we'll meet back in down dog, but do take your time if you're working on something. So once you're in downward dog, little adjustment. Bend the knees slightly. With the knees bent, try to press the mat forward with your hands. See how that draws the side body longer. And then in slow motion here, as we re-lengthen the legs, try to reach from the back of the knee to the back of the heel, downward towards the mat. unless you're someone who tends to hyperextend the knees. And if that's you, you keep just a slight bend. Think of the tops of the shins moving forward. All right, guys, to get out of this, let's come to the front of the mat, feet to the hands. Take just the halfway lift. And then bring yourself down. Root down through the legs. Inhale, we're up. Exhale, the arms down. We're going to do one more thing to stretch out the right side before we do the whole sequence on side 2. Let me demonstrate this. I'll recommend either blocks on high or like furniture, a bed, or a wall that you can put your hands on. So it'll look like this. It's the standing version of the figure 4, and then we'll do a few things in addition. Yeah? So figure out how you're going to go with that. And once you're set, let's bend the knees a little bit, bring the hips back a little bit. Cross the right ankle over so the ankle goes just above the left knee. Foot is active. Notice here, for some of us, automatically the pelvis wants to tuck under. Try to undo that. Bend the standing knee, the left knee a little deeper, and let the hips shift back as you come down. Now let's land the hands on something, your blocks, a chair, a wall, and just pause, breathe. Keep the foot alive, awake. And then if it's easy for you to do with your setup, walk the arms to the left, and that'll just change the direction of the pull. I think it feels marvelous. I hope you do too. Let's come back to center with the arms. Undo the leg, and then bring yourself upright. Okay, so we're going to do the whole little pattern on side 2. If you have the blocks, just have them not in the way, but accessible. Hands onto the hips, bend your knees, shift the hips back, and then let's take your weight a little to the left, feel what that does, and then a little to the right, feel what that does. We're going to stay on the left side. You decide. If you know you can do it, you'll stretch the legs straight out, toes just touch the floor, but barely at all. If you need a little more support, bring the leg a little bit further. Yeah, arms, they can go straight ahead. You can do that little shoulder plug in, or you can take the arms kind of up on the diagonal. You might notice one side is stronger or weaker than the other. Do notice if the hip has a tendency to sway off to the side. Can you hug the outer hip in towards the midline, even though the weight is all on this leg? Try not to let it swing to the side. Yeah, great. And then let's come back to chair pose. So easy. And take your forward fold, Uttanasana. Halfway lift. Come on down. We'll bring the right leg back, knee down to the floor or to a blanket. Scooch the left foot a little wider and bring the arms to the inside. And we've got our circles to draw a few times around. And another direction, times around. Wait, let's pause here, right in the middle. Breathe in. On the exhale, shift the hips back, straighten out the front leg, and on the inhale, come forward again. So take a few more rounds of that and just notice if the pelvis is shifting right. Don't do anything about it, but we'll adjust later. Okay, friends, so going back, and we'll hold in that position. If the pelvis shifted right, or even if it didn't, just try this. See if you can shift left. When we shift left, the left hip will want to creep up, and you drop the left hip down without letting the pelvis slide to the right. That's a big if, try it. And then let's keep the pelvis in position to point a flex on the foot. Toes to the floor, toes to the ceiling. Do that a couple of times. And as you're going along, the pelvis might sneakily go to the right again. Can you draw it back to the left? Great, let's pause. Bend the front knee. And then take the left hand to the top of the thigh, just press down, lift through the belly, turn open. You might get a little stretch in the front of the right leg. And then we'll come out of that, keeping the arms to the inside. Let's tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. And guess what we're doing? We're heading back to plank pose. So when you're ready, go ahead and join me there. Plank pose. Same thing as before. You could hold plank, you could do dog, plank, dog. We're gonna do something a little different than we did last time. So, if you're moving around, we'll meet on the belly. On down to the belly. Go ahead and just get there. Take a second. Oh, it feels good to lay down. And then from here, yogis, we'll do a couple forearm plank variations, yeah? So starting out with the elbows under the shoulders, and for some of us, it's more comfortable to have the elbows a little ahead of the shoulders. That's fine. Fingers, you can stack the hands, interlace, whatever you want. And then for the moment, we're just doing small. Let yourself sink down. Press down into the floor and try to draw the forearms back towards your chest. Lift the low belly and draw the chest forward. Yeah, so it's a little bit like Sphinx pose. And then back off of that. So we're going to do that again with an add-on. Feel free to skip the add-on if you want to just stick with that. So press down, pull back, lift up through the belly, and start to come up a little bit. If you're taking the add-on, instead of pulling back with the arms, let's change it to a push forward, and then you'll go up onto the knees. And it's okay if the back is a little more rounded than you normally do a plank pose. Just for this version, let that happen. Forearms are pressing down and forward, low belly is lifting. And then whatever you've done, ease your way back down. We're taking two add-ons, but again, you can not add on. All right, so same starting position, press down, pull back with the arms, lift up through the belly. Just keep the head in line with the spine. If you're taking the first add-on onto the knees, press the mat forward with your forearms, come up onto the knees. If you're taking the next add-on, tuck the toes under. Keep pressing the forearms forward as you lift the knees off the floor. So here we are in this plank variation. And if you want, we still have one more after this, but if you have straight legs and you still want something, you could bend the right knee a little bit. Keep it bent, bend the left knee to join. And then straighten just the right. And straighten just the left. That was fun. Let's put the knees down on the floor, come all the way down, take a little break. Yeah. Now for final add-on, and for some of us it doesn't work because the feet have a tendency to cramp, but just watch first. Look at my feet. So I'm coming up like so. If that's what you want to do, we'll do the first part and then there. If that's not what you want to do, you can do toes tucked. So here we are, starting position. Let yourself a little shlom. Press down, pull back, pull the chest forward, lift. Keep the belly lifted. Change the pull to a push, go onto the knees. And then you decide if the feet are staying tucked under or if you're doing this horrible version. We won't stay for too long, mostly because I tend to slip. So here we are, just another moment. And then let's ease your way back down, take a little break. Let's fold the hands, rest the forehead. Bend both knees and give the legs a little swish from side to side. Yes, yogis. Okay, from here, let's put the legs back down. Head into downward facing dog. Let's do a couple versions of down dog. For round one, take the feet wide, about as wide as the mat. Bend the knees, press the mat forward. Press the upper thighs out, away from each other, and hug in a little through the ankles. Slowly let the legs go straighter. And then for round two, let's bring the feet closer together towards the midline of the mat. They can touch, but they don't have to touch. Let's once again bend the knees, press the mat forward, hips draw back, and then start to re-lengthen your legs. Now, without letting the pelvis turning or twisting, start to lift the right leg back behind you. Stamp the foot on the wall. Inhale. On the exhale, round the back, step the foot outside of your hands. Yeah, we were here before. Let's keep the back knee lifted for this version. Lizard pose. And then if you need the blocks, of course you can have them. We're gonna do a couple, I'll leave it up to you, but I'll give you a couple options. One option is to go down on the elbows. If I do that, I need blocks. Some of you might go down to the floor. Yeah. Another option is to turn the front leg out somewhat. Do keep the sole of the foot on the floor, but maybe turn the leg out a little and see if that does anything for you. Another option, if you need to put the back knee down, you could, or I love this version, is putting a block under the back thigh. Yeah? So whatever version you've taken, let's stay for a little bit. If you want to add in a little forward back movement, little side to side or circles, what you need. Lizard pose. I haven't seen any more cute little baby lizards in the bathroom. I get so excited when I find one. All right, yogis. So to get out of this, let's reset, straight arms, no blocks. Go back, plank to downward dog. And then we'll go straight into side two. So with the feet together, take the left leg back, stamp the wall behind you with your foot. Inhale. On the exhale, round the back, step the foot outside of your hands. If you only get about halfway, just pull it forward. And then I'll say all those options again, but if you know what you want to do, just go into that. Arms could be straight, elbows could lower down on the blocks or on the floor. Maybe you take the block under the back thigh option. Maybe you turn the front leg out a little bit. Yeah, do keep the sole of the foot on the floor. There's another one where we roll open, but we're not going to do that one for the moment. Of course, you could have the back knee down. I don't remember if I said that. Here we are. Lizard-y lizard pose. And then when you're ready to get out of this one, let's go straight arms, no blocks. If the back leg is on the block, lift a little bit. And then we'll go back, plank to downward facing dog. And just stay for a little bit. Yes, yogis. When you're ready, we'll meet in a standing forward fold. Root down through the feet. Inhale, up we come, lengthen the arms. And release the arms. Awesome. Let's take hula hoop asana, because why not? Great, go the other direction. Now in a second, we'll do a couple poses in a row. And if you've been taking my class, last week we did a lot of abduction, pressing out through the thighs. Let's just do a practice round of that. So from where you're standing, bend the knees a little bit, bring the hips back, and take your hands on the outsides of the legs. Press the legs out and let the hands meet the pressure. Yeah. And just see what that does in the legs, in the hips, and the lower back. And then back off, come back up. Now we're gonna go again, kind of the same thing, but we'll work from the feet. Hands to the hips, bend the knees, bring the hips back a little bit. Now pretend you were in a very narrow space and you had a wall on each side of your foot, and you could press the feet out into your wall. Yeah? And see how that does a similar thing for the outer hips, the lower back. Keep doing this, but notice also the inner foot has become light. Can you keep pressing out and also press down through the inner part of the foot? Yeah, good, and then relax. Okay, so we're gonna do that in the back leg in our warrior two side angle triangle poses, yeah? So from here, if you want blocks for your hands, set them up at the back of the mat like this, one on each side. We're gonna go into it this way. So let's stand in your mountain pose. Separate your feet wide. I'll mirror you guys. We'll go this direction first. Right leg turns in, left leg turns out. Now before you bend the left knee, Pretend you have that wall there on the back of the right foot. Press the foot down and out into your wall, and feel how that firms the top of the hip there on the side. Yeah, and then don't do it again. Press down and out. Keep that. Let the front knee bend, but lift the heel slightly. And then when it feels like the shin is straight up and down, then lower the heel down. Yeah, let's keep the effort in the back leg. You'll notice likely here the pelvis is on a little bit of a diagonal. Leave the pelvis alone. Let's turn the chest parallel to the long end of the mat, and we'll do this. Raise the roof with the arms. Drop the shoulders, drop the ribs, and then press out, come to about here. Yeah, take the back arm, pretend you have another wall and compress the back hand into the wall. And then release the arms into classic warrior two pose. On the back leg, continue to press back through the outer foot into your imaginary wall. If that's torquing your ankle, press down a little more through the ball of the big toe, but not so much that you lose the first part. Yeah, let's stay here, but back off. Hands come to the hips. Take a little tilt in the pelvis, just a few times. Yeah, we'll stay in the tilted state. Stretch the left arm out, palm faces up. Press into your imaginary wall, let the outer right hip hug in. And if you're feeling solid here and want to take the right arm up also, do. If that's no good for you, keep the right hand to the hip or bring the left arm down. Great. Now to get out of this, we're coming into triangle pose. Press the left heel down, and as you start to straighten the leg, create a little resistance, like your foot's glued to the floor, but you're trying to press the foot forward. That'll also prevent the knee from hyperextending. When you're ready, left hand comes down to the shin, to the thigh, or to your block, and then turn the chest open, right arm reaches up towards the ceiling. Keep your attention in the back leg. Press the outer heel down and back into your imaginary wall. Can you lengthen the left side of the waist? That's the side underneath. More space between the hip and the armpit. And then you get out. A little bend in the front knee. Up we come back to center. Well done, friends. Hands to the hips. We've got a second side. Let's do it. So turn the legs. Just reset. And then we'll start with that action on the back leg. Press down and out into your imaginary wall. Keep that on the back leg. Bend the front knee, but keep the heel a little bit lifted. That creates a little more room in the ball and socket in the hip joint. And then once the shin is straight up and down, then lower the heel. Yeah, let's keep the actions in the back leg. Take the arms up, raise the roof, drop the shoulders. Take them out kind of on the diagonal. And then press the left hand back like you had another wall to press into. Slowly lower the arms to shoulder height, and you can turn the gaze to look right, or just keeping look straight ahead, whatever you want. They're solid yogis. You know what? I forgot something. We'll do it later. Let's put the hands to the hips. Back off a little in the leg actions and take a little tilt. Back and forth we go. And then we'll stay in the tilted state. Use your back leg. Foot presses down and out. Outer hip firms. Stretch the right arm out, palm up. Maybe left arm up too, maybe not. Be honest with yourself. If it's no good, it's no good. But if it's fine, do it. Yeah. And then to get out of this, we're pressing firmly down and forward with the right heel. Slowly straighten out the leg. Hand comes down to the thigh, the shin, or your block. Left arm is up towards the ceiling. You could look up, you could look down, you could look straight ahead. Keep the effort going on the back leg. On the front side, can you lengthen the right hip crease and right armpit away from each other? Yeah. Good job, yogis. Little bend in the front knee. Bring yourself all the way up. Let's parallel the feet. Bring yourself back together. My apologies. I forgot this on side 2, so we're going to do that now. Go ahead and set up, if however you're setting up. I'm gonna have my blocks here and we'll do the left side, yeah? So let's bend the knees a little bit, bring the hips back a little. Left ankle crosses over the right thigh just above the knee. Notice if the pelvis is tucking under, untuck the pelvis. Let the pelvis shift back as you go lower. Hands can come down. Now, if you're on the blocks and this feels too low for you, you can make a little block tower so it's up a little bit higher. First, just take a second to settle in. Keep the foot flexed and active. And then let the arms go a little bit to the right. As the yogis. All right, thank you for that. Sorry, I forgot it. Let's undo. Feet come down, arms come up. And that's that. Release the arms. Just take a second. So you're gonna hip flexion. We're actually gonna do a little bit more and then we'll stretch out through here. So let's come down to have a seat. And you won't need the blocks. If you need padding, of course you can have that. Let's have the legs outstretched with the heels down and the toes up and the arms behind you. Now, press the heels down into the floor and without moving the feet, try to drag the heels back towards your buttocks and that'll firm up the backs of the legs. It'll also draw the low back more in. Feel what happens when you do the opposite. Press the heels forward and see how the back wants to round. So let's press down, pull back. Keep that engaged also through the front, through the low belly. You could stay with arms down or you could take arms straight ahead. We're just gonna hold this position. We won't do any fancy stuff. A lot of work for the legs. If you're starting to feel work in the lower back that's not good work, you can put the hands down and keep that for support. All right, take a little break. And then let's go again, this time with the feet a little further forward. The legs are still quite bent, but just a little longer than you had. Press down and pull back. Yeah. Oh, and then whatever you want to do with the arms, you could hold them steady. You could do some fancy, you could do your flag waving letter signals here if you want. I don't know what that's called. All right, guys. And then from here, let's relax the legs, bring them back down, give them just a little jiggle for a second. And we'll head down onto the mat. If you want a little bit more work here, you can come with me vampire style into the coffin. If you don't want to do that, just lay down. But if you're going for it, really do it. And don't just go splat. You gotta keep the navel drawing back towards the spine. Lower down. Slowly, slowly, slowly. You'll get to a spot where the shoulder blades are just hovering. Keep them hovering. And then slowly, slowly release everything back down. You guys, it feels so good to lay down, doesn't it? All right. So from here, let's bend at the knees. Take the feet kind of wide on the mat and let the knees drop over to the right and we'll stay. Take the arms up overhead and reach the left knee towards the foot end of the mat. Let the left half of the pelvis tuck under a little bit, but at the same time, can you bring the front ribs more into the body and the back ribs, just think of them going towards the floor. They're not going to go to the floor, just towards the floor. Giving the left psoas a little stretch. And then up we come to center. Same thing, side two. Knees drop left. Let the right knee reach towards the foot end of the mat. Let the right pelvis tuck under a little bit. The low belly engages. The front ribs draw in. And the back ribs widen. And then let's head back to center. Reset so the feet are just normal, hips width distance apart. Let's do a quickie thigh press, pressing the hands into the legs. And then this next one, I do it all the time, but I'm going to say all the little pieces. If you know what you're doing, you can just get there. Right foot scoops underneath, in between the left buttock and the left heel. Now, if that's a lot for you, or if it feels unstable in the hip joint, you could put either your hand under it for a little prop or a block or something under it to support it. If it's feeling fine, you could bring the left leg in and hold on with your arms. If that part felt a little unsafe in your body, you could put a block or two under the foot, so the foot's slightly lifted, but it's not pulling all the way in. And that's just a little modification if necessary. Now, once you're settled, whatever version of it, tiny, barely at all, let the front ribs sink down and let the back ribs widen. Yeah. You might feel the lumbar curve lessen a little bit, but we're not trying to flatten the curve. It just, the back ribs going down naturally lessens the curve somewhat. This muscle we're working with is really deep in the body and it's pretty sensitive and it doesn't respond to bullying. So you gotta be really gentle, really soft, any adjustments that you make. And then to get out of it, we'll put the left leg back down, undo the right leg, just come back to center. Let's take a quick thigh press in the middle. And then for side two, the left foot scoops underneath, in between the right foot and the right buttock, possibly with some sort of prop under the knee or the thigh. And then the right leg can come in, maybe you hold on to it, maybe you put a prop under the foot. You might be amazed at how different the two sides are. Be amazed, but don't be alarmed. It's pretty normal for the body to have something like that. And very gently, barely anything at all. Let the front ribs sink down. Let the back ribs spread wider. Lessening the lumbar curve, but not flattening, not squashing. Whenever you're ready to get out, undo the right leg, undo the left leg, hands press into the thighs, release. And then from here, release the arms. We're heading into Shavasana. If there's any other movement you need, take it. If there's any setup you need, take it. Whatever makes you comfortable for the final resting shape, whatever that could be. We started our class in very similar orientation. Notice if you feel different now. Does your body meet the floor in a different way? Has the quality of your breath changed in any way? You relax the face, all around your eyes, your mouth, your jaw. Relax through your chest, your belly, your legs and your arms. Bring your attention back to your body. Start to bring any kind of movement back in. Whenever you're ready, allow the knees to bend and roll over on one side. Use the strength of the arms pressing into the floor to come upright again, meet sitting. Let's take hands to heart center. Thank your body, everything that it's able to do. Thank yourself for being here. Namaste.